In the skies, you don't get second chances. Air Force pilots face split-second decisions where one mistake means fire, metal, and a long fall to Earth. Today, we're counting down the top 5 scariest real moments that Air Force pilots survived. Against all odds, these stories aren't just about incredible machines. They're about the iron will of the people flying them. Let's kick things off at number 5. The F-16 pilot who lost consciousness, and the jet saved him. Imagine you're in a high-stakes training dogfight, pulling extreme G-forces. Suddenly, your vision tunnels, and the world goes black. That's exactly what happened to one F-16 pilot. His blood pressure dropped, and he passed out completely. His jet immediately nosedived, screaming toward the ground at hundreds of miles per hour. This should have been the end, but the F-16 is no ordinary plane. Its automatic ground collision avoidance system, or AutoGC, sensed the pilot was unresponsive and the jet was on a collision course. With just seconds to spare, the system took control, yanking the fighter jet up from its death dive. When the pilot regained consciousness, he was disoriented but safe, completely unaware that he had just come within a few hundred feet of impacting the desert floor. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the tech is just as heroic as the pilot. Coming in at number 4 is the A-10 pilot, who was shot through his canopy and still flew home. We all know the A-10 Warthog is a beast, a flying tank built to take a beating. This story proves it. During a close air support mission over Afghanistan, an A-10 pilot came under heavy enemy fire. A round punched straight through the canopy, sending a spray of shattered plexiglass into his face and helmet. He was bleeding, and his vision was severely compromised. Most pilots would have immediately broken off and headed for the nearest friendly base. Not this guy. Istayedlu stayed on target and finished his mission, protecting the troops on the ground. Then, with half his instruments destroyed and barely able to see, he navigated the crippled Warthog all the way back to base and landed safely. The A-10's reputation isn't just hype. Moments like this are why it's a legend. Now for number 3. The F-15 that lost an entire wing but didn't crash. This one almost defies the laws of physics. During a routine training mission, 2 Israeli Air Force jets collided mid-air. One of them, an F-15 Eagle, had its right wing completely sheared off just a few feet from the fuselage. A plane simply cannot fly with only one wing. It's supposed to enter an uncontrollable spin and plummet to the ground. But the pilot refused to give up. He felt the violent roll, but instead of ejecting, he did something incredible. He pushed the throttles into full afterburner, using the raw, asymmetrical power of the engines to fight the spin and generate enough lift on the remaining wing and fuselage. He somehow wrestled the crippled jet, now essentially a flying missile, toward an airfield. Engineers on the ground were speechless as they watched him land at twice the normal speed. The landing gear collapsed on touchdown, but the pilot walked away. This incident cemented the F-15's status as one of the most legendary and durable fighters ever built. At number 2, we have the KC-135 explosion that should have killed everyone. The KC-135 Stratotanker is the unsung workhorse of the Air Force, a flying gas station, but refueling missions are incredibly dangerous. On one such mission, a fuel leak ignited, causing a massive explosion. The boom operator in the back witnessed flames engulfing the wing and racing across the fuselage. Inside the cockpit, alarms blared as smoke poured in, choking the pilots. The aircraft was on fire and rapidly losing control. This was a nightmare scenario. Acting on pure instinct and training, the crew executed a terrifyingly steep emergency descent to try and starve the fire of oxygen. They managed to level out just above the ground and perform an emergency landing, bringing a plane that was minutes away from disintegrating in a fireball safely to the runway. Ground crews who saw the aircraft later were in disbelief. It was so blackened and buckled, it looked like it had been through a war zone and back. Sheer skill and nerves of steel saved everyone on board that day. And finally, our number 1 scariest moment. An Air Force pilot survived. The F-22 deep stall. The F-22 Raptor is the pinnacle of aviation technology, a 5th-generation stealth fighter that seems almost untouchable. But even the most advanced machines can have their demons. During a test flight at 30,000 feet, a pilot suddenly found himself in a deep stall. This is a pilot's worst nightmare. The jet's nose was pitched up, but it had stopped flying forward. It was falling out of the sky like a leaf, completely unresponsive to his control inputs. The powerful engines were roaring, but they were useless. He was a passenger in a multi-million-dollar machine that was now just a very expensive brick. In those terrifying moments, with the ground rushing up, the world goes silent. The only thing between life and oblivion is training. The pilot had to execute a series of precise, counterintuitive recovery maneuvers, a sequence drilled into him time and time again in the simulator. It was a textbook perfect recovery that brought the jet back to life just in the nick of time. He later said it was the closest he'd ever felt to death. It was a textbook perfect recovery that brought the jet back to life just in the nick of time. He later said it was the closest he'd ever felt to death. The men and women who fly these incredible machines face dangers most people will never understand. Their bravery and skill are what keep them alive when everything else fails. If you want more real military stories like this, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Welcome to Shadow Strike Stories. Thanks for watching.